We are going to start with the Mangala Charan. Please, if you have Bhagavad Gita, take it and recite to evoke all auspiciousness. Om Jnanatirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupam Kada Manyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivan Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhambitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Vaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So Hare Krishna, welcome back to the session of Bhagavad Gita in 18 days. Maybe we'll need another day or two more to cover it. So a quick recap at what we did yesterday is, will somebody volunteer to tell what all points we had covered yesterday? We had finished till 2.46. I think 2.47 we will repeat again. So anybody?
Maataji, I'll go ahead.
Yes, please.
Actually, we discussed about contents of Gita summarized, the chapter 2, where we discussed about material desires and how contaminated our mind will become if we have material desires. So, this chapter 2 will help us how we can change our material desires into spiritual desires,
Yes.
and it gave the importance of soul, soul is more important than body. Like body can be changed but your soul cannot be changed, and your soul transforms into another body once you die. And so we are, because of this materialistic things, we have forgotten the purpose in of our life. And fear, mate and eat and sleep are the difference between animals and human beings. So human beings have one more additional thing, which is how they know how to control their minds. That's the difference. And also additional important thing we have, so we need to know how to control our minds. And yeah, the,
Yes, Mataji. So this entire Bhagavad Gita is journey, progression of your this transformation of your mindset from the propensity to enjoy to propensity to serve the Lord. So our actual constitutional position is to serve the Lord. And instead of that, when we try to enjoy ourselves, for example, just like, you have maybe a very nice IS officer or a higher official, government official, but, and he's given all the facilities, he's given a car, he's given a bungalow, he's given everything, but he utilizes that car for his personal use. So what will happen if the authorities find out that he is using the car, the petrol, all the resources for his personal use? What will happen? Maybe he'll be kicked out of the job. Maybe he'll be punished. Something like that. So that is why these senses, these five senses, gross senses, and the three subtle senses. We discussed about the subtle senses also, mind, intelligence, and false ego, which we cannot see. But all the activity, I think yesterday, Mugesh Mistry Prabhuji had asked that, um, uh, what is the way things move around us, and I had explained the hierarchy. So if our consciousness is polluted, our activities also will be polluted. So we want to purify your activities, which do not cause reaction. You have to start from the topmost level. So today, briefly, yesterday we discussed about the nature of the soul, the qualities of the soul, and how soul is there. Basically, let me tell you that yoga, the, the process of yoga, which you know, it actually means to link. Yoga means to link. So this entire process, which is described in Bhagavad Gita, is to link us back to God. Now there are various processes, various degrees, and how they progress, I will tell you. Primarily, we have Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, and Ashtanga Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. These are the four primary ways we can link to God. So the first, these are not competing with each other. They are progression of your mindset. They all come in line. They come one after the another as per our purification. So the first thing that how the process starts is when we come in association of somebody who is in knowledge, Gyan. You know what is the difference between matter and spirit. What is soul? What is body? What are the qualities of soul? What are the qualities of body? That we discussed yesterday, the Jnana Yoga. After getting knowledge, what do you do? Once you have come to know that this is body, this is spirit. Now what? You know it. So now you have to put it into use, Karma Yoga. Once you are in knowledge, now you have to act accordingly. Your activity should be dovetailed in such a way that you no longer incur more reaction and you connect to God. Gradually, you are moving up. And there is also a mechanical process prescribed in the Bhagavad Gita known as the Ashtanga Yoga. Ashta means eight limbs, and Yoga means again linking to God. So Ashtanga Yoga is a mechanical process of controlling the breath and the life air and concentrating one's mind or meditating one's mind on the Supreme Lord, the Chaturbhuj form of Lord, which is also described in the coming chapters. And then, after all these, the highest is the Bhakti Yoga, which the Lord declared himself in chapter 6.47, which is the highest form of yoga one can practice to come to God. So now, so far, in contents of Gita summarized, we have finished Gyan Yoga. From I think it is 2.30 on, we have started Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is now you know the knowledge, you have the knowledge that you are not the body, you are, the spirit. So you are the spirit. So now from here on, the Lord will explain to Arjuna how he can perform Karma Yoga. What is Karma Yoga? How can you perform activities without inviting any reaction? So what happens? We perform something, there is a reaction. Then to Whether it is a good reaction or bad reaction, you have to come again here in the material world, take a body and experience that reaction. There is no go. Even if you don't want to take a body, you are forced into a body. That is what is there in Garuda Puran. So based on your desires, you get another body. So now here, now the primary thing is now you have to perform activities. The soul cannot be inactive. But how to, perform activities without reaction? That the Lord is going to explain. So this is also a key memory verse. 2.47. Karmani vidhita ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala hetuhu ma te sangustava karmani. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. You have the right to perform your prescribed duties, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action. Never consider yourself the cause of the results of your activities, and never be attached to not doing your duty. So here, now this is very important here. You have to perform duties, but you must not desire the results uh, of your action. Why? Because Purushottam, as I explained to you, even when you are performing all the rituals, rites, or maybe some yajna, you will know that the Yajnapati is always Lord Vishnu. He is the ultimate benefactor of all yajnas. Whether you perform it to Agni, whether it perform it to Ganpati, whether you perform it to Lakshmi Devi, the ultimate enjoyer all yajnas, the Yajna Purush is always Lord Sri Vishnu. And on his behalf, the demigods or the Devi Devtas or the presiding deity accepts all the offerings. They go. So like that, whatever work will we do, when we offer it to Lord Krishna, the results, then we do not incur any reaction. Just like the example I gave last week. If somebody, yesterday, just like, somebody is, he murders his neighbor, he will go to jail, he will be punished. But that same person, if he goes in the Indian army and he kills maybe 40 soldiers, he will be given a medal. Why? Because when he is acting on his personal account, he's punished. But when he is acting on account of a higher authority, he does not incur any sin. He's not punished because he is not doing that on his own account. He is doing that because his higher authorities have asked to do, and they are taking his responsibility. So now in this verse, Buddhi Yoga means transcendental loving service to the Lord. Such devotional service is the right course of action for the living entity. Only misers desire to enjoy the fruit of their own work just to be further entangled in material bondage. Except for work in Krishna consciousness, all activities are abominable because they continually bind the worker to the cycle of birth and death. One should therefore never desire to be the cause of work. Everything should be done in Krishna consciousness. Now, how do you do that? Primarily, work is of three types. Yeah, karm, akarm, and vikarm. Okay. So, karma is performing work as per scriptural injunctions imbibed by God Himself. This is karma. So, when we are saying perform karma yoga, how do you do that? So, that is karma. And what is vikaram? Vikaram means performing activities which are not enjoined in the scriptures whimsically as per your own wish and will without following any rules and regulations. That is vikaram, sinful activities. And what is akaram? Akaram is performing activities as a service to the Lord. So karam has a reaction even when you perform activities as per scriptural injunctions, maybe even pious activities, they will have a reaction. And to experience this reaction, you have to take a body again. Maybe even Devi Devta, Gandharva, Kinnar, so many types of bodies are there. Only difference is when you perform pious activities, you go to higher planetary systems where there is greater facility to enjoy for sense enjoyment. You have beautiful gardens, lovely people, high quality liquor, so much food, tasty fruits. I mean, all the five senses are engaged thoroughly in sense gratification. But once you finish your account of pious deeds, you have to again come back down here to earth. So this is what is there. And suppose you perform sinful activities, you get lower bodies, and the biggest fear of for our existence is to get a body in the lower species like animal kingdom, maybe a snake, maybe a worm, maybe a cockroach, where you get a mental, such a low mental intellect that you can't even, think of establishing a relationship with God. So this is how it is. And akaram is that which takes you out of the cycle of birth and death. That work which is just performed as a duty towards the Supreme. That is akaram. And here the Lord will explain how to do that. So gradually, when our consciousness gets purified, when we come in association of somebody in knowledge, and we, know Jnana Yoga, that is, we know what is Jnana, the right knowledge comes into our life, we start performing work or Nishkam Karma, that is work without uh, any result. We just perform because we have to perform without thinking, what will I get after performing this? Will I get money? Will I get kingdom? Will I be famous? Will the people for whom I'm performing this activity reward me, praise me, or at least be respectful to me? No. You have to, yes, selfless service. So this entire process of Bhagavad Gita is to, gradually progress from a selfish, personality to a selfless personality, and gradually we do that. So Nishkam Karma, here Karma Yoga, and in the higher this thing, there's a very little difference between Buddhi Yoga and Karma Yoga. In the sense, Karma Yoga, you're offering all the fruits of your work to God. And Buddhi Yoga, that is Bhakti Yoga, you're performing all your activities to please the Lord. Again, there is very minute difference. Gradually, this Karma Yoga culminates into Bhakti Yoga as you purify. So next 50, a man engaged in devotional service rids himself of both good and bad reactions even in this life. Therefore, strive for yoga, which is the art of all work. So whatever work we do, we must do as yoga. Many a times this word is misused. People think that yoga means only some exercises or breathing, patterns. But actual meaning of yoga is to link to the Supreme. This is the actual purpose of yoga. So by thus engaging in devotional service to the Lord, great sages or devotees free themselves from the result of work in the material world. In this way, they become free from the cycle of birth and death and attain the state beyond all miseries by going back to Godhead. So now how do you understand what Lord wants from us? How to please him? So Chaturvarnam Maya Srishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasya. So Lord has prescribed how you will know what he wants, how to satisfy him, even when you are in the material world. So Lord himself has created the Varna Ashrama system based on guna, quality, and our inclination in work. So guna karma vibhagasya, based on our, because everybody is not alike. Somebody is differently inclined, somebody has a different quality. Everybody cannot perform the same work because there are different people with different inclinations. So that is why Lord himself has prescribed the Varna Ashram Dharma. So what is Varna? Varnas are 4 in number. So what are the Varnas? Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. So the Brahman, he is most purified. His desires are minimum, in the sense he has come to understand who is God, what is the relationship, and so his activities are quite purified. He's really not very tempted by the material, allurements. He's not. So he is in, basically he is in more under the influence of, he's actually in Sattva Gun. So people who are in Sattva Gun, they are supposed to perform activities to elevate, because they are most selfless among all the Varnas. They perform activities not just for their betterment, but for spiritual elevation of all. Brahman actually also means one who knows God, who knows Brahman. Brahmin, that is what is. There is a difference between Brahmin and Brahman. Both are different. So the Brahmins, they perform activities for betterment of everyone. They perform the Patan Patan, Yajan Yajan. That is what they do. So their activities are as per their quality. The Kshatriyas, they are influenced by Sattvagun and Rajogun both. There's a mixture. So they're more passionate. They're like very, driven by uh, what you say, acquiring things, protecting. They are brave also. So what happens? They are given the profession. They are usually suggested a profession where of Kshatriya, that is of protecting the citizens and giving them protection and providing them a secure environment where they can gradually elevate to the position of Brahmins. So these are all progressive, these Varnas. And the Vaishyas, they are under the influence of, uh, you know, uh, Rajogun and Tamogun. No Sattvagun here. So they are like profit oriented, they are industrious. So what happens? They are given business, take care of business, providing necessities of life to other varnas, like cow protection, farming, you know, trading. All these, they are advised to work like that. And Shudras are most influenced by Tamogun. So what are the qualities of Tamogun? Like, they are most selfish. They work only for themselves. So many people think, why this caste system is there, The caste system is not based on birth. Had that been the case, Srila Haridas Thakur, uh, one of the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was born in a Muslim family. But right from childhood, his quality was to chant the holy name. 3 lakh names in a day. So this Varnashrama system is not based on birth. It is guna karma vibhagasya. What quality you have, what are your inclinations, according to that you must perform work. Because the soul by nature cannot be, inert. It is active. It is always active. So here we see 4 varnas, and likewise there are 4 ashramas. The brahmacharya ashram, the grahastha ashram, the vanaprastha ashram, and the sannyas ashram. So there are 2 ways to, attaining perfection or linking ourselves to God. One is the nivritti mark, one is the pravritti mark. The nivritti mark says, give up everything, just don't enter the material world, just go to the forest. Like, for example, Sukhdev Swami Maharaj, who was Vyasdevji's son, he was liberated at the time of birth also. He did not come out of his mother's womb for 16 years. And Vyasji had to request him because he knew the reality of this world. He didn't want to come out. And as soon as he comes out also, fully grown 16-year-old young boy, he just walks into the forest. He doesn't even wait to pay obeisances to his father. He just walks away because he knows father, mother, all these are designations. It's a very high understanding. So like that brahmacharya ashram we have, that is when you follow the like from 1 to 25. It depends on the age. 1/4 of your life is brahmacharya ashram, where you gather information, get knowledge, study, maintain celibacy and all. You learn so many things. And at that time, one is advised to go to a gurukul where he is not distracted by so many other things around him. That is brahmacharya ashram. Then you have grastha ashram. Grastha ashram means now you have grown up, you have gained knowledge, and now you take the responsibility of the other 3 sections of the society, that is brahmacharis, vanaprastha and sannyasis. Because only grasthas are allowed to earn. Brahmacharis don't earn. No children, they don't earn. They just study. And the vanaprastha, they engage their time in learning about the spiritual knowledge about God and helping others with that. And sannyasi is completely detached. So the 1/4 of your life is brahmacharya ashram. Then from 25, say another 1/4 of your life, 25 years to 50 is grasthashram, when you're supposed to earn, take care of children, elders, wife, everybody. And after that, 50 years to 75 years, you are supposed to, gather knowledge of the self and our relationship with God, go to pilgrimages, take association of, devote your time to service of others. You have worked so far for your family and yourself. Now you work for others. Help them also. And sannyas is complete detachment. Now you work only for God. That is the meaning of sannyas. So based on varna and ashram, we must understand what should be our activities. Now suppose somebody is 35 years old, is married. What are his responsibilities? He should know by the parameters of varna and ashram. So the ultimate purpose of this varna ashram is samsiddhir haritoshanam, is to give pleasure to the Lord. By our activities also we must give pleasure to the Lord, because he is the Yajna Purush. He is the ultimate Purushottam, enjoyer. And all our senses are meant for his service. We are not the proprietor. So we must not even claim proprietorship of the results. Whenever we do, it's like stealing, just like a government official is misusing his resources. So that is why work which is done as a service to the Lord has to be performed. So by thus engaging in devotion, great sages or devotees free themselves of this bondage. When your intelligence has passed out of the dense forest of delusion, you shall become indifferent to all that has been heard and all that is to be heard. So, what happens when we gradually follow this system? Our desires for material sense gratification diminish. Now, the Grasta system, you have lot of desires to enjoy this, enjoy a wife, enjoy children. And when you have gone through all this turmoil of material life, then you gradually come to a realization that now I'm satisfied. I don't want this anymore. The one way to get rid of desire is fulfill it, but that doesn't help because desires are like fire. You are going to pour more petrol on that, the fire will become bigger, but it is not going to be extinguished. So this path is so dangerous, it's like that. And another way is to give up desires, which is not possible. We cannot be less. The only way is we can dovetail our desires. Like, for example, yes, you have the desire to eat very many varieties of food. You want to eat this, you want to eat that. Okay, you have, but you offer it to Krishna and have. Now you see during the farming, so many insects, so many rats are killed, so many living beings are hurt. So when you dig the soil, so many worms die. So all that sinful reaction is there even when you are eating vegetarian food. You are responsible for it. And how will you get rid of all these sins? You offer that. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhakta prayachati. So this is what the Lord is explaining, how to perform this kind of activity. Okay, you want to work, you are you want to be a Kshatriya, you want to fight for Lord. Maintain the four principles, dharma of religion in the society. Do it for God. Do it to satisfy samsiddhir haritosha. This is the perfection of life. When you satisfy the Lord. Okay, so Brahman, you want to satisfy, guide others in the spiritual process, help them. So this is how we know. When your intelligence has passed out of the dense forest of delusion, when a person gradually gets purified and his desire for material sense gratification, they reduce, they disappear, then he realizes what is the real purpose of life. I had been wasting my time fulfilling this desire, that desire. I tried to possess this, that. Some people like Putra Kamishti Yagya is there in our Shastra, to gain, beget children. Like that, there are so many yagyas. So we want to enjoy children, we want to have a good wife, we want to have a good house. But these in no way are connected to our linking the ultimate purpose of human life. Please remember that in Bhagavad Gita, whenever we are speaking about the ultimate purpose, not relative purposes here. Relative purposes can change from time to time, but the ultimate purpose remains the same, getting out of the cycle of birth and death. So once then he becomes indifferent to the Vedas. Now here the Vedas simply indifferent to the rituals of the Vedas. The devotees of the Lord, those who became indifferent to the rituals of the Vedas simply by devotional service of the Lord. When a person factually understands Krishna and his relationship with Krishna, he naturally becomes completely indifferent to the rituals of fruitive activities, even though an experienced Brahmana. The Vedic rites and rituals are imperative for neophytes because instead of leading an animalistic life, it is better that we regulate our sense gratification. So the Karma Kanda section of Vedas is prescribed here. Though don't live like animals, just eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating. Live systematically, regulate your eating, sleeping, mating patterns. So comprehending all kinds of prayers 3 times a day, so many rituals are there, so many festivals are there, so that we regulate ourselves. So, but when one is fully Krishna conscious and is engaged in transcendental loving service, one becomes indifferent to all these regulative principles because he has already attained perfection. So, a person who no longer desires anything in the material world, he becomes indifferent. Why? Supreme Lord Krishna, he is no longer to execute different types of penances and sacrifices as recommended in revealed scriptures. The whole idea is to develop love for Godhead. The problem is we don't have love for Godhead. We don't have any attraction towards God. We are more attracted to the material allurement. And this attraction is born out of our association with the three modes of material nature. To get out of this effect of three modes of material nature, we have to associate more with God, more with godly people. Then that effect, it decreases. If one has not understood that the purpose of Vedas is to reach Krishna and simply engages in rituals, etc., then he is uselessly wasting time in such engagements. Persons in Krishna consciousness transcend the limits of Shabda Brahma or the range of the Vedas and the Upanishads. Because bhakti, transcendental loving service to the Lord, is beyond the control of material nature, it is transcendental. And Vedas are when persons become indifferent, then others become uncomfortable. Rashmi Dilip Maataji, I think. So it is rituals have to be performed till you are completely regulated in maintaining the four principles of dharma. So there is a meaning to all the rituals, but they should not be blindly performed. Like, getting up early in the morning, offering, chanting the holy names, all these are prescribed. So the ritual should not be blindly followed just for the sake of following. You should understand what is the main purpose behind these rituals. You are gradually supposed, like the Shudras, they are in Tamogun. When they get gradually purified, they come under the influence of Rajogun, Tamogun, Vaishyas. When they get more purified, they come to the level of Kshatriyas, Sattvagun and Rajogun. Effect is there. And when they are very much purified, they rise to the platform of Brahman, Brahmin in Sattvagun. So the whole idea is that gradually your activities are promoted from that is Tamogun, mode of ignorance, to Sattvagun, mode of goodness. Only because mode of goodness or Sattvagun is the launching pad for devotional service. This is still in the material world. You have to transcend this also. But this is the law. At least live in Sattva Guna. At least. This is the recommendation of Bhagavad Gita, not my personal opinion. And even you have to transcend even the Vedas. When you are completely attracted to the Lord's service, you don't have inclination to do anything else, which is a very rare thing. Then your entire 24 hours, 24 by 7, you are engaged in Lord's service. Then you transcend the effect of the Vedas. Even the demigods, they cannot do anything to you. There's so many stories, but time is short from Srimad Bhagavatam. When your mind is no longer disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas, when it remains fixed in the trance of self-realization, then you will have attained the divine consciousness. So here on, we start the last section of chapter 2, that is Chitta Prajna. What is a person like who is self-realized and who has actually transcended the effects of Shabda Brahman? How is he? To say that one is in Samadhi, I think somebody is, yeah, I'm just muting them. So can you all hear me? Hare Krishna. So the Shabda Brahma. So what would have attained the divine consciousness? So now the Lord is saying, when you have surpassed all these turbulences of sense, the Vedas recommend you do this yagya, you will get this. You pray to this, devata, you will get this. You want a good husband, do this upas. You want to do that, do that. You want to fulfill this, do that. But people don't understand the purpose. The purpose of the Vedas is to know God. Vasudevam Sarvamitim Samatma Sudurlabha. God is one and He is everything. He is the cause of all causes. The process of creation also will be explained. So when he has surpassed, a Krishna conscious person or unflinching devotee of the Lord should not be disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas, nor be engaged in fruitive activities for promotion to heavenly kingdom. In Krishna consciousness, one comes directly into communion with Krishna, and thus all directions from Krishna may be understood in that transcendental state. One is sure to achieve results by such activities and attain conclusive knowledge. One has only to carry out the orders of Krishna or his representatives, the spiritual master. So, what is the purpose of the Vedas? To know Krishna and establish our relationship, constitutional position, our relationship with Him. This is the purpose of all the rituals that we do. And firstly, for this, you should at least come to the platform of Sattva Gun. Live in Sattva Gun. And then gradually, like suppose you are giving alcohol to somebody and he takes a bottle of alcohol, you will see within 20 minutes he will start behaving erratically. And you're talking to him and something, it doesn't make sense to him because he's affected mentally. So food, our life, what we are exposed to has an impact on our psyche. We will not be able to understand the message of God if we are not coming to at least the platform of Sattvagun, living in a certain way, which will be further explained how one can come to Sattvagun. After Sattvagun is Shuddha Sattva, that is devotional services out of these three modes, neither in Tamogun, Rajogun, or Sattvagun. Arjuna said, O Krishna, what are the symptoms of one whose consciousness is thus merged in transcendence? How does he speak? And what is his language? How does he sit? How does he walk? So now the Lord has told him that when you are in knowledge and you perform your activities accordingly, you will become self realized. You will no longer have desires which disturb you. You will not hanker for something which is not there. You will not lament for any loss because everything belongs to the Lord. Nothing belongs to you. You get rid of the proprietorship. So now Arjuna wants to know, how do you recognize a person like that? I mean, how does he walk? What are his symptoms? So here Srila Prabhupada explains, as a rich man has the symptoms by which he is known as a rich man, as a diseased man has the symptoms by which he is known as a diseased person, or as a learned man has his symptoms, so a man in transcendental consciousness of Krishna has specific symptoms in various dealings. How will you know? Now, when you come to take association also, you are taking knowledge from somebody, some guru you want to make. How will you recognize, is this person fit to guide me? How is he leading his life? What are his qualities? How will you analyze? So these coming shlokas will explain that. The Supreme Personality, this is 2.55. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O Partha, when a man gives up all varieties of desire for sense gratification, which arise from mental concoction, and when his mind thus purified finds satisfaction in the self alone, then he is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness. So when we are talking about the self, we are talking about ourself in relationship to God. In Bhagavad Gita, nothing is individual, everything is connected to God. So Bhagavatam affirms that any person who is fully Krishna conscious or devotional service of the Lord has all good qualities of great sages, whereas a person who is not so transcendently situated has no good qualification. Art Artificially, such sense desires cannot be stopped, but if one is engaged in Krishna consciousness, then automatically sense desires subside without extraneous effort. Now, the devotional service of the Lord, Navada Bhakti, that Lord has given to Shabari Mata, you must have heard in Ramayana also. And even Hanumanji, Ashta Siddhi Navanidhi ke Data, Astavardin Janaki Mata. So, Nava Bhakti. What is this devotional service? How can you distribute your activities in a way that they are dovetailed? So, there are nine, ways of bhakti, that is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. So any of these nine processes you can utilize to dovetail your activities in devotional service. This we will explain later. We don't have time. We have to finish this chapter. One who is not disturbed in mind. So 2.56, who is not disturbed in mind, even amidst the threefold misery, or elated when there is happiness, and who is free from attachment, fear, and anger, is called a sage of steady mind. Now, here are the qualities. He is not disturbed even when there is a reason to be disturbed. Like we get agitated, you see, something goes wrong. Srila Prabhupada, when he was in Kolkata, I think the Second World War was going on, and the entire city was being bombarded. He is not fearful. He is not fearful. What will happen? I will die. He knows this place is temporary, a place of misery. Now anything can happen here. He's accepted it. And Srila Prabhupada was making prasadam for Lord, and everybody was running here and there, you know. So he is not disturbed by natural disturbances happening. Uh, there once I think my mother passed away, and we were asked to visit the temple, and everybody said, no, there is Sutak, you must not go to the temple. So we asked Prabhuji at that time, he was there in ISKCON Delhi, and he explained what is the meaning of Sutaka. So here, Sutaka again, for the Sutak time for Shudras is like 1 year, because they cannot come out of the grief very fast. Because you're not supposed to go to a temple or in front of God in a contaminated state of mind. Grief is contamination. You must go blissfully. So that is why they say, no, don't go in, with some emotions in your heart in front of God. And the Sutaka for, I think Vaishyas is about 13 or 14 days. For, no, sorry, for Shudras it is 1 year. For Vaishyas it is, I think, 21 days. For Kshatriyas it is 13 days. But for Brahmana it is only 3 days. Why? Because they have a better understanding of life. They can counsel themselves and come out of their grief fast. Within 3 days, the Brahmana is normal. Whereas the Kshatriya gets normal, that he understands that there has been a loss in the family, some disturbance. He gets out, little late. Vaishya, even later, maybe some 21 or 30 days. Shudra, sometimes they take a lifetime to get out of the grief. They hold on to the grief. because of lack of knowledge. So one who is not disturbed in mind, even amidst threefold miseries, this Janam, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi, the three kleshas, Adi Bhautik, Adi Devik, Adhyatmik kleshas, even when they are there, he will not be disturbed. This is a symptom. He will not be agitated. He will not be very happy when there is a cause for happiness. He will not be very sad when there is a reason to be sad. Who is free from attachment. What do you mean by attachment? Attachment means you can be attached to your own opinion. That is attachment of good and bad. That is also attachment. Attachment means asakti. When that thing is there or not there, you get disturbed. You are attached to maybe your house. Somebody says it's burned down. You are attached to it, so you feel the grief. So he does not have any attachment. Something is there, something is not there. It's okay. Look at Prahlad Maharaj. It's okay. Fear and anger. They don't fear. The father threw him down from a mountain, Prahlad Maharaj. No fear. A drunken elephant coming to trample him. He knows, Arey, this is God's arrangement. Accepts everything. So he has transcended. So what happens? These Devi Devtas have certain effect on our psyche, like Shani Dev, he's there to chastise people who perform sinful activities, or he also rewards the results. So for a devotee, a person who self-realized, there is no fear of anything. He's okay. And anger. Uh, anger, like, slight provocation and we lose track. We are angry, we have to react. I have to show this person his place. Srila Prabhupada, this reaction that we give for something that happens to us, actually that determines the goodness or badness of that event. It is our reaction which makes an event good or bad. There's nothing good or bad in this world. We are just reacting and forming more reactions by reacting. So a person who is self-realized will not get angry at small things. He will understand the position of the other person or the situation in relation to God, and he will accept it. He will not retaliate, get angry or agitated. There are six anarthas we cannot talk, but those six anarthas, we'll talk about them in future. So here Srila Prabhupada says, attachment means accepting things for one's own sense gratification, and detachment is the absence of such sensual attachment. What will happen? If somebody wants to enjoy for sense gratification, he doesn't get it. He becomes angry. And anger leads to loss of memory and wrath. Please remember, there are three gateways to hell: lust, anger, and greed. The three, you have to make a note of these. Lust is, desire for sense gratification. Lust, anger, being angry, and greed to acquire more than what is necessary will destroy your peace of mind. There is a difference between what you need and what you want. So what you want is unlimited, whereas what you need is always limited. In the material world, one who is unaffected by whatsoever good or evil may obtain, neither praising it nor despising it, is firmly fixed in perfect knowledge. He does not hate anything. A self-realized person, he doesn't hate even the most evil. We have seen example like Nityanand Prabhu, Jagai Madhai were like drunken, very evil people, but they don't have this emotion of hatred towards anybody or extreme attachment. They don't see, because they are purified themselves. See, we see the world with the glass of our consciousness. If our consciousness is polluted, we find fault in everybody around us. A self-realized person, he sees everything in relation to God. So he doesn't find anything bad. Like Prahlad Maharaj didn't see any bad in his father. Even when Narsimhadev came and he killed his father, after killing, everybody was scared. Even Brahmaji, Shivji, Lakshmi Devi. Nobody was going near Narsimhadev. He was so angry after killing Hiranyakashipu. But Prahlad Maharaj goes to him and he says, oh Lord, please calm down. My father, I'm sure you are going to give liberation to my father also, He doesn't hate anybody for making him suffer. This is the true quality of a self-realized person. He understands that whatever miseries are coming in my life is because of my past deeds. And this is for my purification. So they don't lament, they understand that experiences, good and or bad, ultimately they help our learning. Even after a bad experience, you are more learned. Even after a good experience, you are more learned. So what is there to lament? In the material one who is unaffected, so this we have come, is firmly fixed in perfect knowledge. One who is able to withdraw his senses from sense objects as tortoise draws its limbs within the shell is firmly fixed in perfect consciousness. Such people, they know they have perfect control on their senses. Um, there is a shloka in, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Not Bhakti Rasa. It is a nectar of instruction. Updeshamrit, by Rupa Goswami. So there also, a person who's self-realized, his qualities are described. So they are able to control their senses completely well. They know when to utilize them and when to pull them away. They are not under that spell of three modes of attraction or repulsion. This is one of the symptoms of a self-realized person. Though the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste for sense objects remains. But ceasing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. So what happens? Sometimes we see, that people purify them. So there are so many karma kanda ways, where you can get rid of sinful reaction. But what is the guarantee that you will not sin again? As long as there is a desire to enjoy, again you will perform some activity and get entangled again. So a self-realized person has no taste for sense gratification. He's not interested at all. You take him to some place like that, allure him, he's not allured. He's fixed in his service. He's just fixed. He will not be deterred from his service at any cost because he has developed a higher taste. His standard of enjoyment has changed, transformed. Transformation is always one way. Change can be reversed. Just like, an earthworm or worm gets transformed into a butterfly, and then it can never become a caterpillar again. So transformation is like that. He has got completely taste, his likes, dislikes have got completely transformed in alignment to serving the Lord. Other than that, he does not enjoy anything. Again, Prahlad Maharaj, his friends would play, in the Gurukul. They would play all kinds of games, but he was not interested. Genuinely no interest. So another symptom is the senses are so strong and impetuous that, O Arjuna, that they forcibly carry away the mind even of a man of discrimination who is endeavoring to control them. There are many learners. So the mind is so strong. Look at Vishwamitra Muni. He was in deep meditation. He was just, Menaka comes and the anklets, the noise of the anklet, it disturbs him and his tapasya breaks. He's like, and he opens his eyes and he sees Menaka and he gets attracted towards her. Like even the most learned of sages, they, get carried away. And here we have the example of again Haridas Thakur. They say that he used to live in a cave, and once the people around, the evil people, they wanted to test him, so they sent a prostitute into the cave. You know, Maya Devi herself personified. They sent to attract him. So he tells us, I chant 3 lakh names of God every day. You want to enjoy with me? You please wait. Please wait, I have to finish my rounds. Without that, I don't listen to anybody, I don't talk to anybody. She sat there the whole night and he was chanting. He was chanting. The next day, he was chanting because there was no time when he was not chanting. She waited, and ultimately, she was a very beautiful person. She bowed to him and left the cave, and later she became a devotee. So that of what use? So uh, this is a symptom of a real self-realized person. His senses are so controlled that he's not carried away by any attraction of the world. So here there is a shloka by Sripad Yamunacharya, a great saint and devotee, who says, since my mind has been engaged in the service of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, and I have been enjoying an ever new transcendental humor, whenever I think of sex life with the woman, my face at once turns from it and I spit at that. They don't have a taste for any sense gratification. This is a symptom. One who restrains his senses, keeping them under control, and fixes his consciousness upon me is known as a man of steady intelligence. Vacho vegam manasa krodha vegam jivva vegam udarupastha vegam metan vegan yo vishaheta dhira sarvam apimam prithvim sa shishyam. So a person, vacho vegam, who has control on his speech, manasa vegam, who can control his mind, vacho ve manasa, krodha, anger, over his anger, jivva, the tongue, what does the tongue do? It tastes, it speaks also. So vacho vegam is covered. So in eating, in taste, he can control his tongue. Udarupastha, hunger, stomach, and the genitals. A person who is able to control all these senses, he is a Goswami. Go means senses, Swami means master. And he is fit to make disciples all over the world. Such a person, you must take guidance from such a person to analyze whether this person is self-realized or not. This is the criteria. The highest conception of yoga perfection is Krishna consciousness, is clearly explained, and unless one is Krishna conscious, it is not at all possible to control the senses. As cited above, the great sage Durvasa Muni picked up a quarrel with Maharaj Ambarish, and Durvasa Muni unnecessarily became angry out of pride and therefore could not check his senses. So a situation, Ambarish Maharaj is being discussed. He was a great devotee of a Lord, but he was a king. He had a great palace, great clothes, great kingdom. Everybody listened to him. Externally, people would think, oh, he is living such a grand life. But internally, he was not attached. He was not at all desirous. He had no taste. All he desired was to please the Lord through his activities. But how do you know that? So the test was given by God. One day Durvasa Muni came to visit him And at that day is Dwadashi. The previous day was Ekadashi. Today is also Ekadashi, very auspicious day. And Ambarish Maharaj would fast on all Ekadashis without water, nirjal. So when Durvasa Muni comes, there is a Parayan time on Dwadashi, the next day of Ekadashi. In that time only you should break your fast. If you don't do that, then you can break that fast only after 1 year, like that. So that is the way. And Durvasa Muni visits him on Dwadashi, and he is a very nice king. He wants to respect all sages. But Durvasa Muni, he is pride stricken and he says, no, I will take my bath and then come back. He goes with his, I think, so many thousands of disciples and goes to take bath in a river. And here the Parayan time is getting over. So everybody, all the Brahmins, all the, intelligentsia of the king, they tell him, you please break the fast. Otherwise, you'll have to break it next year. He says, no, I cannot break because without my guest having any food, without a sage having food, I cannot have. So then, they advise him, don't break it completely, just have water. Just have water, and that way you would have broken the fast, and at the same time you have not eaten anything. So he agrees and he has a sip of water, just a sip of water. And Durvasa Muni, with his power, he can see that he had water, and he comes so angry and he says, you have insulted me. He gets angry. That means even after doing penances and Ashtanga Yoga and Tapasya for so many years, he had no control on his anger. He got agitated. And here Ambarish Maharaj, what he did, he took a strand of hair from his head, and he banged it on the floor. And out of that came a big Rakshas, And he says, go and kill Ambarish. And Ambarish Maharaj, instead of getting scared or something, he's standing there calmly, with his head bowed and telling Durvasa Muni, as you please, maybe this is God's arrangement. Not the least bit angry, not the least bit agitated, not the least bit trying to change his situation. We are so busy trying to change our situation. And what happens? Sudarshan Chakra, from nowhere it appears. And it slays that, demon there itself. And after slaying that demon, it goes after Durvasa Muni. Because Sudarshan Chakra, it is beyond the modes of material nature and it is meant for protection of devotees. It doesn't even need the permission of the Lord to go and slay somebody who is disturbing his devotees, pure devotees. Because no desire for sense gratification. He has all the luxuries, he has everything around him, but he has no sense desire, no taste for sense gratification. And that example is given here by Srila Prabhupada. So Lord situated in the heart of a yogi burns up all kinds of impurities. So we are not capable of burning up our impurities, but when we depend on the Lord, He takes care of all our desires. That is surrender. The Yoga Sutra also prescribes meditation on Vishnu and not meditation on the void. That will be explained. The so-called yogis who meditate on something other than Vishnu simply waste their time in vain search after some phantasmagoria. So you are supposed to meditate on the Chaturbhuj form of Vishnu. That will be there in Bhagavad. There's a way, you meditate, and that is prescribed in our Shastra. What is the purpose of meditation? That is also there. So even after performing such great penances, Durvasa Muni could not control his anger. While contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops. Okay, no, here, this is yes. senses, a person develops attachment for them, and from such attachment, lust develops, and from lust, anger arises. And now, here, Lord is telling in 2.62 that when we contemplate something, we hear about something, maybe we see an ad on television, we start contemplating, oh, this kind of crockery, and you are contemplating. You develop attachment for that object. And when you do not get that thing, lust develops. First lust develops for that thing. You want it, lust, acquiring it. And when that lust is not fulfilled, what happens? You anger, lust and anger arises. You get angry. It doesn't seem to show, but inside you're desiring, and you're getting frustrated. I'm not getting it, I'm not getting it. And from anger, delusion. You go, when after getting angry, fretting, frowning, also you don't get it, you get depressed. And from depression, loss of memory arises. You start, you're mentally deframed completely. And from that uh, is your fall down. Everything is ruined. Your mind has come off the track. So, in the material world, everyone, even the highest living beings, other even demigods, they are subjected to the influence of sense objects. What about us? They are also attracted. Like, Brahmaji, he got attracted by his own daughter. Wow. He wanted to enjoy his own daughter. The attraction is so strong. Why is it a man and woman are attracted to each other? It is the way God has arranged it. Why you want to taste so many good things? The way God has arranged it. Why a dog likes bone? Why a cow likes only grass? So that is how God has arranged it. And whenever you see a sense, uh, you know, uh, sense object, you want to, enjoy that. So like that, so this attachment, it really costs you your life. So you have to get rid of this attachment during your lifetime. 2.63. From anger, complete delusion arises. From delusion, bewilderment of memory. And when memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost. In short, Lord is telling Arjuna about his state of mind. See, this is what has happened to you. You have great attachment for your family. Because of that, you are getting angry and agitated. You want to run away from your duties because you are attached. And because of this, the result will be that, your memory will be lost. You will be completely derailed. And when intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material pool. So this ignorance is the cause of our material misery. And when your intelligence is lost, if you're completely derailed, again you fall back into the material pool. This is the process. This is the sign. And here we are struggling with a contaminated mind. You get another body. You are again exposed to so many miseries, and there's millions and millions of births like that will go on. You lose this birth as a human being, next birth you may or may not be born as a human being, you may be born in animal kingdom, and then there is the question of going back to Godhead. Very difficult. So here the artificially trying to avoid material objects, and as a result, although they desire liberation from material bondage, so some people, they artificially avoid. I will not, but inside there is desire. So from inside, the seed of desire has to go. They desire liberation from material bondage and they do not attain to the perfect state of renunciation. Their so-called renunciation is called Phalgu, or less important. On other hand, a person in Krishna consciousness knows how to use everything in service of the Lord. Therefore, he does not become a victim of material consciousness. So in devotional service, we cannot artificially, we cannot stop desires and start acting, go to the forest and start meditating. I'm controlling my mind, my controlling and mind. Here the mind whisks away to a cinema theater. There the mind whisks away to USA. There the mind whisks away to an ice cream shop. That is not the way. You cannot artificially control the mind. The best process, the Lord says, is devotional service. He will confirm that. Now here there are the specific words are there in 18 days. We cannot cover that though. So 2.64 Raga Dvesha Vimuktestu Vishayan Indriyascharan Atma Vaishyar Vidhetatma Prasadam Adhigachati. But a person free from all attachment and aversion and able to control his senses through regulative principles of freedom can obtain the complete mercy of the Lord. Ambarish Maharaj. He performed his duty even though he was a king without getting attached. And Sudarshan Chakra came there. Lord does not have, once there is a thing, once I think Brahmaji was very puffed up. The Brahmaji of our universe, I think he has 4 heads and no, 3 heads. And he goes to visit Vishnuji in Vaikuntha. He's very puffed up and he wants to go there. And he says, now when I go to God, he's going to praise me. What a universe you have created. So he goes there and there just Hare Krishna, I'm so sorry. I think there was some internet disturbance. So the doorkeeper, he shows him to the waiting room, and there he sees thousands of Brahmas sitting, some with 6 heads, some with 7 heads, some with 12 heads, and he has 3 heads. And then his uh, pride is destroyed, Brahmaji. Yeah, I was thinking I'm so big, I have created the universe, and there are thousands of Brahmas here. So therefore, mm, artificially trying to control our senses, attachment, regulative. Acha, we were here in 6.4. So the Krishna conscious person is concerned only with satisfaction of Krishna and nothing else. Therefore, he is transcendental to all attachment and detachment. If Krishna wants, the devotee can do anything which is ordinary and undesirable. So just like Hanumanji, he now if you go by today's standard, he was terrorist. He went and burned the entire Lanka. People might say, "Arey, he did such a gory act," but he did it. Again, the principle of dharma was compromised in this battle. Lord's wife was kidnapped. So So here, for one who is satisfied in Krishna consciousness, the threefold miseries of material existence exist no longer. In such satisfied consciousness, One's intelligence is soon well established. So, what is the result of performing devotional service? That you become completely satisfied. There is a shloka in Isopnishad, Purnamada Purnamida Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. So this completeness, Purnam, the Lord is complete, and everything that comes out of him is also a complete whole. So when we are attaching ourselves to the complete whole, we also taste that completeness in the form of contentment. We no longer hanker for external things. And this is a very peaceful state of mind. So one who is not connected with the supreme consciousness can have neither transcendental intelligence nor a steady mind, without which there is no possibility of peace. And how can there be any happiness without peace? So Lord Rama actually means pleasure, reservoir of pleasure. So, and our soul is feeling incomplete due to lack of pleasure. So to get this pleasure, we have to connect our plug to the reservoir of pleasure. You don't do that, and you are trying to look for that power plug here and there in the air. You are fretting, frowning. It's of no use. The only way is that you plug in back, and then you will get the pleasure. You will experience that pleasure, and after experiencing this higher taste, like something like once you have tasted something made in ghee, you'll not like it if it's made in oil. You have experienced an higher taste, so you don't have a taste left for the lower quality. As the strong wind sweeps away a boat on the water, even one of the roaming senses on which the mind focuses can carry away man's intelligence. The senses are so strong, they're like serpents, poisonous serpents. One sense also, Ajamila, in Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a story of Ajamila who was a Brahmin. But one day in the forest, he goes and he sees a prostitute meeting with a man. Just by seeing, he gets contaminated. One sense is enough to destroy your peace. And then he develops a desire to enjoy with her. And he ruins his birth, leaves his wife, his parents. He lives there. He does all sinful activities to please her. And one sense can also destroy your life. Your eyes, your ears, your nose, your tongue, drugs. You put it on your tongue, finished. It is so used to that, it becomes conditioned to that, you cannot live without it. 2.68. Therefore, O mighty armed one, whose senses are restrained from their objects, is certainly of steady intelligence. So this Sthita Prajna, he is peaceful, he is content, his senses are controlled, and he is able to restrain his senses from the sense objects, and he has a steady intelligence. He is not so. Prabhupada says the purpose of Vedas is to know Krishna. And if a person knows Krishna, it means he knows everything else. Because by knowing everything else also, the purpose is that you come to the state of contentment or happiness. Suppose you are studying, you are doing everything, but you are still not happy, you are still not content. What's the use? But if as a person has been able to connect to Krishna, he has been able to connect to his inner self and his relationship with God. He knows everything it means. He knows the purpose for which all the knowledge is meant. 2.69. What is night for all beings is the time of awakening for the self-control, and the time of awakening for all the beings is night for introspective stage. So there's a complete contrast which is explained here. Materialistic persons remain asleep in such night due to their ignorance of self-realization. The introspective sage remains alert in the night of materialism. You see devotees. In our temple, the Mangalarti starts at 4:30. Many temples it is 5 a.m. In Vrindavan, 4:30. And the devotees are up, and not that they're sleeping the whole day. Little, maybe a power nap, and they are working the whole day. They get up early, they finish their rounds, and by 9 they're off to work, and they perform brilliantly. We have doctors, we have engineers, IS officers. They do their devotion, and at the same time they're very good at their material work also, and most importantly they're peaceful and happy. That is the secret. So there is a contrast in the life of a materialistic person and a sage who is self-realized. The introspective sage remains alert in the night of materialistic men. The sage feels transcendental pleasure in the gradual advancement of spiritual culture, whereas the man in materialistic activities, being asleep to self-realization, dreams of varieties of sense pleasure, feeling sometimes happy, sometimes distressed in his sleep condition. Ignorance is compared to sleep. The introspective man is always indifferent to materialistic happiness and distress. He goes on with his self-realization activities undisturbed by material reactions. 2.70. A person who is not disturbed by incessant flow of desires that enter like rivers into the ocean, which is ever being filled but is always still, can alone achieve peace, and not a man who strives to satisfy such desires. So, if you want to experience peace, the only way is that you don't have these material desires disturbing you. You dovetail your desires into serving Lord. So he remains, why this self-realized person is always satiated? Because he remains satisfied in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. He can remain steady like an ocean and therefore enjoy full peace. This is what we are all seeking. So the way is to connect to God, to serve Him, realize our constitutional position that we are not the masters, we are not the enjoyers, we are not the proprietors, and behave accordingly, and gradually will come to this peaceful state of mind. Uh, when Srila Prabhupada went to the US, the people there, hippies especially, they were in very agitated state of mind. They were rebellious, they were into all kinds of activities, intoxication, drugs. Basically, they were rebellious because they were not understanding. They wanted to experience that peace and happiness, and they were trying everything. They were not getting it. And when Srila Prabhupada introduced them to Krishna consciousness, um, they experienced that peace and happiness, and as a result of which, what happened? All their lower tastes, they just left that because they were getting so much happiness in this newly found Krishna conscious, so much satisfaction and peace. And when you have experienced peace, you don't like anything else. It is so soothing, it is so refreshing. They just left everything without any extraneous effort. Everything. No drinks, no non-veg, no illicit relationship, nothing. They left everything. 2.71. A person who has given up all desires for sense gratification, who lives free from desires, who has given up all sense of proprietorship and is devoid of false ego, he alone can attain real peace. This possibility is there for only such a person. 2.72. That is the way of spiritual and godly life, after attaining which a man is not bewildered. If one is thus situated, even at the hour of death, one can enter into the kingdom of God. This is a declaration by God. If once अंतकाले च मामेमा स्मरन् मुक्त्वा कलेवरं ये प्रयाति समद्घातं नातिया तत्र संशया. This is a shloka in chapter 8.5. At the time of death, whatever is the state of mind you are in, that you shall attain without fail. That is the promise. And at the time of death, if you are dreaming about, say, some party, then maybe you will be an insect at the party next birth based on what karma you have collected. You want to enjoy meat, you will be a lion, a dog, maybe something else, it can be. So, like that, if you are contemplating on God in a peaceful way at the time of death, you will attain His kingdom, the spiritual realm where there is no janam, mrityu, jara, vyadi. Mukti also is of 5 types, which I will explain to you. So there are standards even in mukti. So some people, they just try to get out of the material sky, just get out of this country, get into another country, and that's it. They hung somewhere in between. But the ultimate thing is that in that country you find a person, Rama, reservoir of pleasure, and you establish relationship with him. This is highest happiness one can have. Just running away from the country won't help. You have to establish relationship. So is thus situated even at the so this whole preparation of Bhagavad Gita is for that one moment of death when the soul transmigrates from one body to another. And whatever is the state of mind at that moment of time, that you will attain. So at least before that, and who has the guarantee that today is not the last day of my life? I can die on the road today itself. This could be my last day. So what are we waiting for? Now, do it now. Try to link yourself to the reservoir of pleasure. So here Brahman is just the opposite of matter. Therefore, Brahmi Sthiti means not on the platform of material activities. Devotional service of the Lord is accepted in Bhagavad Gita as the liberated stage. Therefore, Brahmi Sthiti is liberation from material bondage. And Srila Prabhupada has explained that this Brahmi Sthiti we can attain even while we are in this present body by constant practice and association with godly people. So, thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport to the second chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of its content. So, we have completed this chapter today, and now any questions or comments? Anything you would want to ask? Hare Krishna. Mataji, Bhagavad Gita is very beautiful. You can share your experience, if not questions. I would love to talk to you in this time. At least tell me what you have experienced after joining the course, if you don't have any doubts.
Mataji, I'll share my experience.
Yes, Mataji. Can you
So,
please turn on your video? I would want to see you.
okay, sure. Okay. So, so as we grow up and we start living our adult life, we'll have lot of desires in our. I mean, we have lot of desires like I need to get this certificate, like I need to complete this study, then I need to go for this job, and I need to have this house, this car, this income. So all these desires are definitely giving us a lot of frustration. As you told that desires gives lust, lust gives anger, and anger gives. So this cycle is always repeating.
Hmm.
So these are, of course, the main things we need today, like basic things, like everyone is conscious about their success in life because we compare everyone with each other. So how would you recommend, like, how to not get attached with this things like success, promotions,
Yeah,
high?
you can. There are questions in the chat box. You can raise your hand and you can talk to. So, see, Mataji, there is a difference between what you need and what you want. Wants are endless. What basically we need food, we need certain basic necessities, we need to put the soul and body together, and everybody's standard is different. If you look at the standard of the acharyas, they would just survive on a cup of milk and live happily. They would live under a tree, but we are not at that level. We are still not at that level. We cannot imitate the Mahajanas. We can follow in their footsteps. So maybe yes, you can start with, like, there was a devotee, he would smoke 40 cigarettes a day, and he visited Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada never told him, how dare you smoke 40. He said, you reduce one cigarette per day. Today you are smoking 40 cigarettes. Tomorrow you smoke 39. Then again 38. Like that you reduce. And gradually he became such a great devotee, gave up everything and he started serving in the temple. So this is a gradual process. And once you start following it, maybe yes, we need a car. Okay, we will go for a car which is not very expensive, maybe less expensive. We need a car. Okay, we need a house. So we will not put maybe royal emulsion, we'll manage with premium emulsion. Like that, gradually, when you start reducing, like, see, Corona was a big learning experience for all of us. Otherwise, people would feel, how can you live without a car? How can you live without clothes? Haven't we lived like that for 1.5 years? We have stayed at home. We have not worn good clothes. We have not gone partying. We have not eaten in hotels. Haven't we survived? So there
Rightly
are
said.
so many. You make a mindset that I need this, only then I can live. I need that, only then I will be happy. That you have created for yourself. But that is all Maya. What do you think our planet has 84 lakh species of life. There are worms, elephants, birds, fishes. All of them get food. Do you think they are starving of hunger? The birds in the forest, the animals in the forest, the fish in the sea, the birds in the sky. Everybody, the nature is so created by God, everybody gets. You are getting fresh air. Is Lord charging you money for that fresh air? Water, sunlight? Are you paying anything for sunlight? If you don't have a laptop, maybe you will not die. But if there is no sunlight, you can't exist. So one has to depend on what Lord has provided comfortably. Without getting agitated, whatever you can acquire for your comfort is okay. Now that depends on your own personal level. How can we differentiate? The chat box has a lot of questions. I'll just to everyone. Hare Krishna Mataji. Now the chat box has some questions. First of all, we'll take up those. Archana Mataji, I hope I have answered your question.
Right, Mataji, I got the
Yeah,
answer.
thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. So, Mataji, today we learn more on desire, materialistic attachment. I'm just curious, how do we get away from it? So, Mataji, it's like this. It will not happen in a day. You will have to gradually increase your association of holy people and engage more time. Like maybe now you are devoting these 2 hours to Bhagavad Gita now. At least be continuous. At least after the course is over, also you maintain a routine. Say like 15 minutes, half an hour a day, I will spend reading Bhagavad Gita. You know, because I must have read Bhagavad Gita so many times. I've heard so many lectures on that, but I still feel I don't know. I still feel I'm nowhere. So Bhagavad Gita is a scripture, which needs repetition, practice all the time, and you have to make it a lifelong practice. Never know when we are going to die. Karuna, I had Karuna, and at that time I thought second wave, bad. And in the room, I was thinking isolated. Maybe these could be my last few days. Let me remember God. I couldn't do anything. But at least I had that knowledge, thanks to Srila Prabhupada, that I could peacefully put my mind on that everything is going to go Roma. Just think about God. That's all. And God was with me. So I was at peace. Thank God I read Bhagavad Gita. Thank God I was not agitated at a moment like that. So, how do we get away from it? Increase your time in devotional service, reduce your material activities gradually, not abruptly. You cannot become desireless in a day. Association plays a great role. If you have an ISKCON center, you can associate online also with us. We are always there to help you. How can we differentiate between desires and asking for worth of our work on a job? Based on my understanding, people get confused between the desires and needs. Prabhuji, Satyananda Prabhuji, uh, if you go by the standards or parameters of Srimad Bhagavatam, need is that which can put your body and soul together. Everything beyond that is for the ego only. So our standard we have to set ourselves. Yes, we must compete. Since we are in the material world, we just can't sit back and say, no, I will not go to work, and give your best and leave the rest to God. God will take care. Yeah, something is planning, something is somebody's they're making some kind of plans against you and all. You must trust God and leave to Him. Learn to do that. And have the confidence that Krishna is there and He is going to provide to me what I deserve, not what I desire. We desire so many things from God. Some people go to temple also to ask, but they don't ever talk about serving the Lord. He has already given us so much. He has given us the life, sunlight, air, water, food, everything is there. But we never take out the time to thank Him. So see, when you start thinking about serving God instead of the other things, your mind will get cleared of all those thoughts. A follow-up question: is minimalism the first step towards detachment? Minimalism is relative, Prabhuji, in today's world. It again depends on our surrender, how much we can minimalize. But start from the top, if not everything. Try and reduce your material, because you know what will happen. You have developed a desire. Today, the problem is, Ajamil went to the forest and he saw a prostitute. But today, the media is one big thing, to induce desires in us. So to induce desires in us, and there's advertisements, marketing, so much propaganda going on. You are seeing so many sense objects and you feel, if I have this, I'll be happy. But as per Bhagavad Gita, happiness is not dependent on any external impetus. It is an internal journey, and a person who has connected with the self will only experience this happiness, not a person who is trying to get it from sense objects outside. This is a declaration in Bhagavad Gita. And you see in our temple, there are so many Maharaj. You see, you learn from them. You just see how they live. Like His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, he sleeps on the floor even now. Everywhere he goes, he gets the best of facilities. No fan, no air conditioning. They just have, and they are so blissful. They don't long for anything. It's not that they are by force staying there. So happiness is not related to the things around you, which you have to realize. Ma'am, Shyam Prasad Prabhuji, ma'am, I have recently made my kundli and I came to know that I belong to Kshatriya Kula. But how do I know? Do I really belong to that Kula? Is it because I took birth in a Kshatriya family? Prabhuji, I just explained that Chatur Varnam Maya Srishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasya. The Chatur Varna system is not based on birth. Your Kundali, actually, Srila Prabhupada used to say, that astrology is a great branch of Vedas. And again, the purpose of astrology is that we, come out of the influence of these three modes of material nature. These influences force us to perform activities which bind us. So the best course of action is there is no criteria to engage in devotional service of the Lord. You start engaging from where you are. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhakta prayachati. You don't have a temple, you can't go to the temple. Start offering water to a deity in the house. The deity is personification of Lord. The deity is there so that we can develop a relationship by exchanging services. The deity takes all our services. That is how we connect. So because you are born in a Kshatriya Kula does not necessarily mean you have Kshatriya qualities. You may have Brahmanical qualities. Never know. Satyananda Prabhuji, yes, Mataji, that is true. I was attached to ISKCON Bangalore and used to services for Hare Krishna in different occasions and also on Satsang. That's very nice, Prabhuji. So selflessly, not just for your family and yourself. So the highest charity work, as in Bhagavad Gita, is that charity, which elevates others spiritually. That is a great, we know if a person is poor, he's begging on the street. Why is he poor? Why is he begging on the street? Because his mindset is such that he has performed sinful activities and as a result of that, he's experiencing poverty. How will he get out of that situation? When his mind is purified and again his activities are, dovetailed, he will get out of the poverty. You see in Vedas, there are so many mantras, to get out of a specific situation. There is a mantra for getting money. There is a mantra for getting a job. There is a mantra for something like that. There are so many mantras without understanding. The meaning of the word mantra is man means mind and tra means that which delivers. Which delivers your mind from a situation is mantra. As soon as your mind is developed from that poverty stricken or a bad relationship, your situation will change. This is the secret. So your mind has to be aligned. This is the purpose of astrology also. So any more questions, comments? Have I missed out some question? I can't scroll up the bar. No question from my side. So I think I finished all the questions for today. Any comments or any realizations which you have had during the class? We have another 2 minutes. So I think that's all for today. We will see you all tomorrow for chapter 3. Please go through the recording. I hope you've not lost the recording because of the interruption in the internet. If it's still there, then you will get to hear it. So till then, Hare Krishna. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण माता जी।